I know that a lot of improvisational musicians will sometimes kind of look down on the crafting, right? It's like, well, no, if it didn't just kind of happen spontaneously, and I feel like it's actually maybe it's both, right? I mean, there's moments that magic happens.
Like we had some of that today. There's spontaneity when we're all together, and that's what he was talking about earlier. It's like this magic thing that these parts come together, and you don't even really know how it's happening. It's like all happening in nanoseconds. Like, like the time is so fast that we're reacting to one another. I mean, it's a magical kind of science, but I still believe that the best work in the world of any work is work that's crafted. That work that's there's an improvisational nature in everything you do, because if you're writing a book, you have to improvise what you're going to say. No great movies just come together by people improvising. They sit there and work on a shot over and over, and scripts they rewrite to the last second. The actors memorize it, and then the director decides to change 2 words, and that makes it better. So I think the improvisation is what we all do every day in our life. But I think it's a cop-out to just say, well, I'm just going to improvise, so therefore I can be lazy and not develop the craft and really think.
When you said lazy, you suddenly made a bass gesture.
Oh no! Well, I was thinking.
Hi, I'm Norm. I was born and raised in Japan, and I'm half Japanese. When I was a kid, I took a couple strings off an old guitar, and that was the beginning of my career as a bass player. 2 of my favorite things are music and sushi. Welcome to my home. I'm Norm Stockton, and this is Grooves and Sushi. Joining me today is another scarily talented cast of players, including iconic groove monster Zoro the drummer, keyboardist to the stars Mr. Eddie Brown, guitar wunderkind Mr. Zach Fensky, trumpeter of doom Mr. Brandyn Phillips, and the mad scientist of the synth Mr. Rob Renderer. Giving the performances some urgency, we always play before we eat, is the fabulous meal that Chef Kevin is preparing. In today's episode, we'll be performing our fun and slightly crazy opening tune called Zigged When You Shoulda Zagged. As always, I should mention that while some of us have worked together in the past, this lineup of musicians has never played together, and this song has never been performed before this taping.
What kind of sushi is that?
It's Hollywood sushi.
Eddie's kind of a BYO
and
VB kind of guy.
But if I had eaten this morning and all day, I would just sit there with a plate in front of me to just be in the. You know.
Would you? You like be a team guy?
Yeah, but I'm too hungry to keep playing that game right now.
But the idea is definitely not for you to suffer and not eat.
There you go.
So
you understand.
now, but what I'm wondering, so that's a veggie burger.
Uh-huh.
Does that actually taste like a burger?
I would not eat it if it didn't.
Wow.
I really wouldn't.
What's that made out of?
It's
Sorcery
Called it
material.
sorcery earlier, so.
Sorcery, yeah.
That explains it. Yep.
God ain't pleased, but it's all right. He ain't pleased one bit.
It was kind of like a reverse of a lot of players where I was really into having more of just a clean guitar sound and trying to do as much as I can with that. And then later on figure out, okay, but I also need to have the tones and the kind of ambiance side of playing just because we got to be versatile, everyone knows that. So yeah, so it kind of actually was like a reverse way about going about it, but
Yeah.
trying to be able to do both now.
I think the tone thing is huge.
Oh, absolutely.
You can be playing cool stuff, but if the sound isn't working in the context,
Exactly. That is really important. I think it's like kind of somewhat a never-ending journey because there's always a way to improve your sound and get this next piece of gear.
You ever see Sammy Davis Jr. play drums? Mm-mm. He could play some mean drums.
really?
Sammy Davis was one of the most talented guys around. He could play drums, he could tap dance, he could sing, he could write, he could dance. I mean, act. He was one of the
Yeah.
most talented entertainers of all time. But he could play some mean skins,
Wow.
and his tap dancing was extraordinary.
That whole era where you had to like act, tap dance, sing, like all those people, that is amazing. Those are
They-
all
they were able to
separate
do all of
trades.
it.
Yeah.
I know now if you do more than one thing, they're like, oh, well, what's your specialty? It's like everything. I play all kinds of it.
Crazy.
They think you can only do one thing well.
Well, what motivates people to make music has changed.
How so?
Well, if you fit a box, it's easier to market. But if you don't fit if you can do too many things,
They can't figure out how to sell
Right.
they
it.
can't figure out how to sell you. We make the A&R's job easier now
Yeah.
and make the musicians lazy in the process. It gets to where we're all just imitating each other. I think the term risk taker in music, it's relatively new.
Yeah.
It's relatively new if you think about it. You know, to be original and be honest, musically honest, was the norm.
Right.
No pun intended,
Yeah.
but it was the norm. And every artist, they were not afraid to be, beyond being an innovator, they were not afraid to be the sum total of all of the things that they were exposed to. Yeah, but that's where it began, you know, gospel music, playing in church. My mom plays piano. My dad's a bass player.
Is that right? Okay.
And a lot of my musical sensibilities, the way I perceive groove and feel, you hang around him for 5 minutes, you'll clearly see what it's just like, yep, that's where he gets his sound from. And my mom played and sang. I got two sisters, they sing. And my oldest sister plays drums. And so it was a very musical family, and we grew up exploring music. It started from gospel, from the Hawkins to Thomas Whitfield, the Kevin Bond era, and Jason White, and then it was Steely Dan, and it was George Duke, then it was Pat Metheny.
And was anybody in your family like, oh, you should check out this stuff, or is it more like you were just on your own?
No, it was just what was playing in the house.
Okay, so everybody was kind of into it.
Everybody was into it. We all, the Yellow Jackets and all that stuff was playing in the house. Everybody's playlist was all scrambled up.
That's awesome, though.
Everybody, you could go from different rooms in the house and it would just be.
I love that.
Yeah, so I'm sure that shaped me in some form, and it helps you to see the beauty of versatility. It helps you to see the beauty of versatility before you understand it. I grew to understand versatility, but I saw the beauty of it first. Understand what I mean?
Yeah, man. That's deep. I like that. Yeah, because musical snobbery is like fairly commonplace,
Very commonplace.
And I think there's like a reason that rock people hate it when jazzers sit in or whatever, because it's like sometimes you're approaching the music like, yeah, I'll play your stupid music for a little bit, kind of thing, as opposed to everybody approaching it like legit,
Right.
Because every style of music, I think, requires skill and familiarity, and to play
and
well.
authenticity.
Yeah, authenticity.
The last thing you want to sound like is a rock guy trying to play jazz, or worse, a jazz guy trying to play rock. You want to be authentic.
Yeah.
And gospel is the worst one of all. They're the worst musical snobs of all. I can say that because I grew up around them, so I can say that and get away with it because I helped to define how it's played.
Or just put it on the table.
Just just put the bag
I'm just
away.
gonna throw this
Keep it-
away.
Looks like a good cookie, man. Was it a veggie
Trying to
cookie?
get his dessert. Awesome. Eddie, it's all good, man.
Savory and sweet.
Oh, you're doing it with the miso soup.
Oh, he's combining.
How you think payday works?
Savory
and sweet.
Candy
That's
bar.
right. No, you're right.
Hey, sashimi platter, octopus, taco, albacore, yellowtail, fatty salmon, lean tuna, toro.
You brought Toro.
Of course, your
You're
favorite.
not messing, man.
Toro for Zoro. Like Eddie, I grew up in a home with a lot of different music. I had 7 brothers and sisters, and my whole family loved music. They all listened to different music. So I grew up, my mother was from Mexico City. I grew up in Compton, California. I grew up around everything from big band music, Frank Sinatra, Nat King Cole, mariachi music, soul, gospel, blues, just all kinds of music. But I didn't really become a drummer really till I was like 16. But I started playing on the streets in Compton when I was about 7 after I went to a Temptations, Diana Ross and the Supremes concert. Came back after the concert at 7 and I made a sort of a makeshift drum set out of Folgers coffee cans, oatmeal canisters, some wooden spoons and bowls. But just the rhythm was in me. And then I got a drum set, a Mickey Mouse drum set when I was 10. My mother bought for me for the Sears catalog for $9.99. I destroyed it by Christmas evening. It was just paper heads. It was just a cheap toy.
Yeah.
But then I entered a talent show. I wanted to play the drums really bad. So I entered a talent show in the 5th grade. And they said, what can you do? I said, I'm a drummer. And even though I hadn't played, and I said, I'm a drummer, I could play. So I just faked like I had a drum set. I told them I got some drums, but I didn't. And so I just played with my hands. And I played on the chairs. And I said, oh, my drum set's in the shop, but it's getting fixed. But don't worry, I'll just keep rhythm with my hands on the chair. Then the next rehearsal, and they're like, oh, where's your drum set? I'm like, that wing nut still hasn't come in. It's still in the shop, but I'll just play with my hands.
Can you just mic up this chair?
Yeah. Well, and then the night of the show, of course, they said, where's your drum set? And I'm like, well, we went down there and they were closed early, so we couldn't get it out.
Oh, no.
But so my brothers and sisters, they painted a big drum set on a big cardboard box, like a Maytag refrigerator box. We brought the box on stage, and I played the box with my hands. So I invented the cajon long before.
That was you.
I was the inventor of the cajon.
That was you.
Long before anybody knew. But I had this desire to play, so I just played with my hands and tried to get in the school band every year. And every year they said there's too many drummers, and they turned me down every year. So I didn't really get a chance to.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't until I was 16 and I had a janitor after school job, and I worked at the high school cleaning up the toilets and the library, and then the last part of the job was cleaning up the band room. I would sneak on the drums, and I hadn't been playing drums. I didn't own any drums, but I would spend the last 10 minutes and sneak on the drum set. And then one day the band director discovered me in there playing, and then said, "Do what you were doing again." And so I played again, and he said, "Kid, you're a rhythmic genius. Where have you been hiding? I need you in all the school bands." So that's how I joined. That's how my musical career started. Was from a job as a janitor at the high school, where the band director accidentally discovered me.
Sushi.
That's my favorite right
This
there.
is the lean part. This is the fatty part.
Yes.
So the lean part has soy sauce, but the fatty part has nothing
Because it just tastes good.
good. You don't need nothing.
You like salmon? Eddie looks at me.
You're like, I think we've already covered this.
No, not sushi, but do you like salmon, like when
Right.
it's at a restaurant?
I love salmon. Talent allows you to interpret what's here musically. Talent allows you to make it your own. But it takes a certain mentality that has zero to do with talent to be able to realize that not everything you think you should say. It's a certain sensibility, you know what I'm saying? So, and me and my dad have had this conversation so many times. People who have that, look at me, I love myself. Look at me, I love myself. You should love me too. I'm God's gift to the world. They play that way. Think about it.
Comes out in the music.
Go back through your
It's
life
ego.
experience of every musician you worked with. You're going to think at least 3 faces is going to come to your mind.
Yeah.
I'm sitting with him.
These are the three.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
3 people is going to come to your mind.
It's the intention that comes with it.
You know what? Yeah, for me, I feel like any of us can play with whoever's on the gig and function, right? You adapt, but you want to play music with people that are unselfish players, right? I think that's the whole thing. Where
You
it's
just
like
said a lot.
if you're like a me-focused player, other people can discern that pretty quickly.
Yes, they can.
Because music is not a solo sport. It's a team thing. Unless you're a solo pianist at Nordstrom. You know, you're playing with other people.
Yeah.
So it's got to be, there's got to be, like you said, you can't all be talking at the same time. There has to be an ebb and flow, and it's really about serving other people. The best players in the world serve the bigger picture, which is the musicians, the music, the song, the composition.
Yeah, arrangement to me, I feel like is, even if it's going to establish something, it's like this is your part. The best arrangements are ones that simulate a conversational approach, right? Where
Yeah,
it's like
preaching.
we're not all playing the same beats and stuff. It's like there's this conversation interplay going on.
Right.
Yeah.
Come on, Norm. You're preaching today.
they're all about perfecting things to like a pinpoint. Like if they take interest in something, they always pinpoint it. So there's like a really correct way to do things. Like if you looked at the sashimi platter, the tuna was in the top left corner, and that's because tuna's like the king or the star. Then Alex always said that your sushi moves like this towards the top because in Japan you had the sea breeze blow up into the mountains, so sushi's supposed to represent the ocean coming into Japan, like the fish coming out. I was like, that is so beautiful.
Good grooves happen, but great grooves are crafted, just like songs. Good grooves happen, but great grooves are crafted.
I believe that.
They're carefully crafted.
Everything that's great, and because besides being a drummer, I'm also a writer and a speaker, and I study those art forms from people who do it well. And the more I get into all these different art forms, the drumming, the writing, the speaking, the more they're all the same in the sense that the people that are really masters are the people that spend the time crafting it. They're the writers that go over a paragraph or one sentence over and over till they get just the right word and it appears like it just flows out of them. It appears like it's just like,
That's it.
wow, they're just
That's
natural.
That's it.
It's nothing but work. But
That's it.
that's where the actual joy is, because the joy, like when we played today, the joy is in crafting the music and aligning the parts and working on the arrangement.
That's it.
The joy was in Kevin making the sushi. So many people are anxious for the expression of it, but they have no idea the amount of time, even with the talent, but your talent will only get you so far, because the rest of it's just discipline and hard work. God gives everybody a secret melody. He gave Norm one, he gave Zoro one, he gave Eddie one. He gives us a special melody that's only our melody. Nobody else has it. And your whole job, your whole life, is to discover that melody and then sing it. But when we sing that song, we will touch a lot of people because it's our song to sing. And everybody's got a song because God is the master orchestrator. He writes out the arrangement for your life, but you don't know what's coming because you're reading the chart in real time. Just like every orchestra player, they don't know what's happening at the end of the music till they get there. They are trusting that the arranger wrote these beautiful things, and all you got to do is play your part. So to me, all we have to do in life is figure out what is our song, what is our gift, and let me develop it to the highest level possible so that I can honor God, so that I can give him glory, because you give him glory when you take what he gave you and you turn it back into something more. You don't glorify him if you took the talent but you never developed it. No, you work out the arrangement. You develop it so that when you give it away, you've brought back more than you got, because the gift itself is free. Nobody can, when they die, can pat themselves and say, I was very talented. And God's going to go, yeah, I know that. I gave that to you. But what did you do with it? How much more did you turn it into? And ultimately, whose life got better because of your talent? And shave ice, which I never see anywhere anymore.
That was a recurring thing. Oh, when we did lunch?
Yeah, I saw the advertisement for it, but I didn't see them
It's
actually.
like a kid in a candy store. It's like, shave ice.
They get the good place in Maui though. That does it really super fine. Really super fine ice. Because if the ice is real thick and chunky, it's not that good.
Yeah,
It's
for
gotta be
sure. It's got to be like,
super fine, like a flour.
yep.
Like a flour.
Yeah,
like
totally.
Like a fine. And then they pour that red dye, number 5 and number 7 and number 8.
It's got to be like it occurs in nature, and then
Yeah, like nature, yeah.
we need to pour some chemicals on it. Awesome.